Jeopardy! And now, here is the host of Jeopardy!
Welcome to Speed Jeopardy, sponsored by the LMU Biology Department. I'm your host, James. Today's episode will be on the taxon of Hemichordata.
Oh, hello there. My name is Dr. Martinez, and I'm here to tell you about the Hemichordata.
They date back to the Low Cambrian period and are soft-bodied, worm-like marine organisms found near the bottom of the sea.
Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show.
Michael won the Kahoot round first, so he goes first. The Hemichordata are a unique phylum of the marine invertebrates who live in a range of different habitats. Name one of their habitats.
What is soft sand or mud?
Correct. Most hemichordates live under muddy areas near water. How do hemichordates feed?
Well, all hemichordates are suspension feeders, capturing minute animals and algae as they drift by in the water. As adults, all or nearly all hemichordates are benthic, which means bottom-dwelling marine animals.
We'll be back after these messages.
Bye. Come on down to Crazy Mike's Hemichordata car dealership. All hemichordates are now on sale, all are in mint condition, as well as segmented and divided into their three main parts, a peroral lobe, a collar, and a trunk. All 2017 baseline hemichordates come standard with a proboscis, which allows them to move, similar to how a snail contracts its body to move. However, some are also free-floating and use their tail to maneuver through their environment. Buy now before the season sale is over.
Welcome back to Speed Jeopardy.
Describe the development of hemichordate and their nervous system.
Well, many hemichordates have a larval stage in their life cycle. The larva, called Torminariae, swim using microscopic hairs called cilia. There is no central nervous system. The nerve tissue is located in the collar, which is linked to a nervous system in the epidermis, or outer covering. And also, the partially open circulatory system usually includes a collar-style heart, like a vesicle or blood vessels and sinuses.
Why are hemichordates considered half-chordates, and what do they share in common? And what about its relationship with echinoderms?
Well, let me tell you, like chordates, hemichordates are deuterosomes with pharyngeal gill slits, and most of them have a dorsal and sometimes hollow nerve cord. However, they lack a notochord and a postnatal tail.
How can you forget about the rudimentary structure in their collar region, called a stomacord? That's not a notochord, it's different. Oh my god, bro. And in adults, they expand the dorsally from the fornix to the proboscis and serve to communicate the oral cavity. However, the hemichordates share a lot in common with the enchinoderms because they share similar larval structure. Oh my
We'll be
god.
back after these messages.
Can you provide the most important gift of this holiday season, the gift of love and a home for these hemichordate classes, like the Graptolithina class who live in rocks and shells and are suspension feeders and have gas-filled sacs that keep them buoyant, or the Pterobrachia, who are interconnected and made up of many different individually connected stems. They feed through their second division of the body, which bears a pair of branched tentacles that collect small food particles from the water, or the Entropronesta, who are slow burrows who use their proboscis to burrow through the sediment and may either deposit or feed on suspension feeders. Please help us this holiday season to find these creatures a loving home.
Welcome back to Speed Jeopardy.
Question is, I'll finish it up with. Name the human uses of the hemichordates. Whoever gets this question wins.
Let's see, they're used for research.
That's one of them. Can you elaborate?
Well, the hemichordates are the closest living relatives to the chordates. So to anyone studying chordate development, it'd be useful for research.
That's also true. But you guys are missing one big one.
Oh, I know. They're using the LMU Biology Department for the final video project.
Exactly. Michael, you win.
Congratulations, Michael. You have won not one, but two phylogenetic trees.
Wow, I love it. If you look closely, you can see that the Chordata phylum is the closest relative to the Hemichordata because even though the characteristic and observation-based tree tells us the closest relative is the Annelida, the genetically based tree tells us that the true closest ancestor is the Chordata. It is more accurate because it is genetically based, so unlike the characteristic and observation-based tree, there's nothing subjective about the data. The main reason why they are different is because the genetic code hides relationships which cannot be found with the human eye. For example, in the characteristic-based tree, the Hemichordata is more closely related to the phylum contained in the earthworm, Annelida, because physically, they look more related and have similar physical characteristics, even though the Hemichordata is actually more closely related to the Chordata phylum genetically. Additionally, in the characteristic-based tree, the respective phylums contain the crawfish and squid are more closely related to the phylum containing the perch, and is the second most related to these two because they all have common nervous system, the brain, nerve cells, and nerve cord. However, if you were to take a look at their 16S gene, you would see that these two are actually more closely related to the Annelida phylum.
But wait, Malik, don't think we'll send you home empty-handed. You get... The graph in the article uses an 18S rDNA instead of the 16S rDNA sequence used in class. The difference is that the 18S rDNA is the genetic sequence of a ribosomal subunit found in cytoplasm of a eukaryotic cell versus ribosomal subunit found in mitochondria. The article in the graph found that there was indeed a closer relationship between hemichordates and echinoderms than chordates, unlike our graph which found that there was a closer relationship between chordates and hemichordates. It is likely that the inaccuracies was due to picking the characters in the phylogeny. Particular characteristics like locomotions used vague movements like swim and crawl without recognizing the difference in how to swim or crawl.